Central Bank of Nigeria announces dollar inflow into Nigeria rises to $10 billion in 2 months. Debt Management Office offers Federal Government of Nigeria bonds with 12% interest. African Development Bank reiterates commitment to funding construction of Abuja to Lagos Highway. Oil rises on tightening crude supply. The program is Business Express, reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I am Musa Abubakar, your guide. Now let's begin the program by telling you that the Debt Management Office says it has initiated the subscription process for 2-year and 3-year Federal Government of Nigeria bonds for October with an interest rate of up to 12%. This announcement was made in a statement on the DMO's official website. The subscription period is set to last for 4 days, running from October 3rd to October 6th, 2023. The bonds will mature on October 11th, 2025 for the 2-year and 3-year bonds. The interest rate for the 2-year bonds stands at 11.074% per annum, while the 3-year bonds offer an interest rate of 12.074% per annum. The statement also specifies the settlement date for both bond offerings at October 11th, 2023, with coupon payments scheduled for January 11th, April, 11th July, and 11th October. These bonds will accrue interest payments every quarter. The DMO outlines the units of subscription has 1,000 naira per unit, subject to a minimum subscription of 5,000 naira and subsequent multiples of 1,000 naira, with a maximum subscription limit of 50 million naira. African Development Bank, FDB Group, has reiterated its commitment to funding the construction of the Abuja to Lagos Highway. The bank in a statement says it is playing a leading role in mobilizing funding for the project. It said that the heads of state and the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, have decided to speed up the construction of the highway, adding that the bank has already contributed $25 million to fund the preparatory phase of the project. The highway, according to the bank, will link the most economically dynamic cities and ports and the most densely populated urban areas in West Africa. The bank further said that the leaders of countries along the highway urged the ECOWAS Commission to accelerate the completion of the detailed design study and financial as well as implementation strategy of the project. Now, Dele Alake is a public relations expert, but his appointment as Minister of Solid Minerals Development is not misplaced, as he takes deliberate steps to make the sector more attractive and next to crude oil in terms of revenue generation. In this report, Mio Gidi recalls some of the promising statements from Dele Alake and the position of industry players.
Dele Alake, given the portfolio as Solid Minerals Minister. Many were astonished because the assumption was that he would be the Information Minister. Yes, a surprise to many, but not a surprise to Dele Alake because he has passion for the sector.
Most people had pigeonholed me for the information ministry, and so we decided to shock everybody. But my modus operandi is results. Whoever doesn't ship in, ships out.
Talking bold, Dele is set to deal with anyone not minding who is mining, in as much as such person is an intruder in the sector.
30 days grace to join a miners cooperative or find another vocation to do.
30 days deadline for illegal miners to pack and relocate has expired. This is the new gold mine for the Nigerian economy. Alake alerts the nation.
The petroleum industry is on a downward trend. Now, what is the next fundamental economic growth factor for Nigeria? Is solid minerals.
Dele's deliberate moves align with the fathers of the industry.
They are formalizing these artisanal miners because they are the one that constitute the operation constitutes a lot of illegality and environmental degradation. We are engaging them in some sort of enlightenment programs for them to cooperate among themselves, form cooperatives, and obtain the necessary papers.
A lot of fresh energy is already demonstrated by past ministers in reforming the solid mineral sector. Will Dele make a deal that will be different from his predecessors? Till then, I am Mie Ogidi Trust. Trusting Dele makes the sector proud.
Well, now to speak on how the solid minerals development sector will add at least 50% of value to the Nigerian economy and attract foreign direct investment to the country. I am being joined virtually from Ilorin, Kwara State, by the National President, Miners Association of Nigeria, Dele Ayaleke. Welcome to Business Express. I'm having actually issues trying to get your name right, and
Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Well, let's delve into the subject matter. The new Minister of Solid Minerals, Dele Alake, has described mining as the next revenue earner for the nation after oil. In what areas do you think the government should focus more to achieve this target?
Well, thank you very much. I think what the minister said is quite right, because when you look at the spread and the quantum of the deposit that somehow you have in Nigeria today, and the fact that the fuel energy is phasing out, you agree with him and with everybody in the sector that the solid mineral sector is the revenue earner for Nigeria now and even in the future. Talking about how this one can be achieved, I think the minister and the government should look more into the area of value chain addition. The issue of exporting our materials raw out of the country should be checkmated. We should learn from what our forefathers in the First Republic did by building technologies, creating wealth, the agricultural products of that time. So this time around that we are having these solid minerals, and most of them are so critical to energy transition and of course some other global uses, industrial uses. We should, as much as possible, curtail the raw exportation of minerals and look more into value addition by way of processing these materials into raw or even into finished products. Nothing stops us from being a lithium battery exporter instead of sending our raw materials outside at cheap prices and then going about again to import the finished products at very exorbitant prices. We should look at this area, and thank God during the ministry inaugural speech, he did mention the fact that the established buying centers will be upgraded to processing centers. I think we should take this conversion further by making sure that Nigeria becomes a producing nation as against exporting nation of our raw materials.
Okay, this issue of value addition, is it a conversation that you are having with the ministry, or is it something that is recently coming up? Because most of the times we talk about artisanal miners and how to actually formalize those mining group.
Well, artisanal miner, or let me say artisanal mining is a global issue in the industry. And our ministry has actually come out with a policy to formalize these artisanal miners and forming them into cooperatives, so that instead of all these illegal operations that they are doing all about, they can be streamlined and make sure that they do the business, they participate in the industry as legitimate operators. This convention has been on, this program has been on. What needed to be done is to scale it up and then look at if the gray areas, try to plug all the loose holes and make sure these people come on stream. But this will reduce a lot of illegitimacy going on in the business, and at the same time reduce the insecurity that abound everywhere arising from mining activities.
Okay, 30 days deadline is now given to illegal miners to vacate the industry, and I think that time has elapsed. How can this group of people be integrated into the system, and in order not to become a threat to the sector?
Well, I think that is what we have said, how to integrate them. There is a department in the ministry known as the Artisanal and Small Scale Mining Department. They are the one in charge of forming these artisanal miners into cooperative. But I think the only thing that the government, through the ministry, and that is what we are trying to drive with our minister concerning the issue of improving the capacity of all these technical departments in the ministry, the ESM department and the mines inspectorate department. Presently they are not, the capacity is low for them to actually drive this conversation beyond the area of rhetorics. Take for example, we have a state like Niger State, the size of which is about 5 states in the southeast, with only one mines officer, and there are a lot of mining locations in that place. So if mine officer cannot actually do the job in that place, even in some places where the state is not as large as Niger State, there are a lot of mining locations across the state of the federation. One mines officer is not adequate, and at the same time, when you look at the ASM department, in fact they even combine states, one ASM officer for 2 states. This capacity cannot drive all the government to fund all these departments and improve their human and logistic capacities for them to be able to implement and enforce all these regulations.
Okay, now that the deadline has elapsed, based on your assessment, have you been seeing people coming forward to say, okay, let's be part of the formal arrangement that the ministry is making and things like that?
I think the feedback should come from the SM department.
Okay.
They are the one to know whether there are increase in people coming to formalize into cooperatives. But one thing that I observe within our association is that we have gotten a lot of people, especially those in the downstream subsector. They have been coming to align themselves with the objectives of the association by trying to to subscribe to our membership. So, and I think all these artisanal miners who are not corporate entities, the ASM department and the various ASM offices in each state of the federation should be able to give us the feedback of whether there are increase in the rate of people, in the rate of artisanal miners coming for to be streamlined, to be formed into cooperatives.
Okay, the minister talked about the solid mineral sector might likely be a very big sector after crude oil. So what do you think is needed to actually actualize this dream of the solid mineral sector becoming next to oil or possibly more than oil?
I've said one of them.
Okay.
And
Let's hear the others. Let's hear the others.
Yes, the one other issue that the government should try as much as possible to do is the issue of regulations. Mining is in the exclusive list of the federal government. States are not empowered to regulate on mining. But what we are having now is out of order, and the government is looking at partnering with some multinationals, those who have the know-how, those who have the financial capacity to come and help us grow and develop the sector. Under these confused regulatory policies, these people will not come. They might not likely come. So the government should please, as much as possible, there are a lot of vehicles by which they can streamline regulations, and that is where we are having all these multiple regulations, multiple taxations. If they are not streamlining of the regulatory policies, the regulatory regime, the much needed investment might not come. And if this investment does not come, it means we still be operating at this level we are operating, that has not actually impacted much in the national GDP.
Okay, mining has become a security threat because we have people trying to correlate it with security issues happening in some particular parts of the country. How can your association work with government to curb this issue?
Well, we have been working with the government, and of course we will continue to do that, because most of us that are in this business, we don't have a second address. So the good thing for us is to make sure that this industry works well. So talking in terms of insecurity, what is giving impetus to this insecurity is the fact that most of these mining sites, they are located very far from civilization. And if you are hiding, number one, the mining site provides a security cover for some of these bandits. And at the same time, if you are hiding the place and still have some other means of livelihood, it makes the place more attractive, it makes the place more stable for you to stay. Some years ago, the ministry launched a mine surveillance team in each state of the federation. So, and we participated in the conversation that led to the establishment of this surveillance team. Thank God also that our honorable minister made mention of empaneling the security police, the mine police, to work together with these surveillance teams. By the time we have all this in place, and by the time because we are the owners of the process, and of course some of these artisanal miners, we can engage them. If the government also try to create more incentive for those of us who hold small-scale mining leases, we can actually bring a lot of them into our workforce. When you bring them, of course, we are already sending them away from being from all form of illegality. If we employ them into our workforce, this one will go a long way to reduce the idle hands that we have that to be deployed into all this illegality and banditry.
Okay, talking about illegality, revenue loss is another issue. Most companies don't pay royalties. How can this be addressed?
The issue of, like I said, one of the way by which we can improve the revenue generation. Most of our gatekeepers, they don't have the ideas of generals, and a lot of them call small volume, great value, the gemstones and the precious metals. A lot of them are going out of the country without collecting the adequate revenue from them, because of the fact that there is low knowledge of all these minerals by our agencies at the borders. So once we are able to checkmate the raw exploitation of all these minerals. Once we are able to use most of them as raw materials for our products in Nigeria here, I think government will get more revenue, and it will also reduce the raw exploitation of these minerals that are going out without adequate payment of royalties. In terms of the operating companies, I've said earlier on that the ministry needs to improve the human and logistical capacity of all their departments, so that they be able to checkmate all the issue of non-remittance of the revenue adequately to the government in terms of royalties and other levies.
Okay, thank you very much, National President, Miners Association of Nigeria, Dele Ayaleke. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much also for having me.
Okay. Now to energy. Oil rose in Asia. Trade on Wednesday supported by tightening global crude supply ahead of a panel meeting of OPEC Plus ministers. Brent crude oil futures rose 6 cents to $90.98 a barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude rose 11 cents to $89.34 per barrel. The Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries and Allies, or OPEC Plus, is expected to keep output policy unchanged when it meets after members Saudi Arabia and Russia extended output cuts to the end of the year. Now let's see how commodities are trading around the globe. And as a capital market, Nigeria's stock market ended Wednesday trading session in negative territory as the all-share index closed trading at 66,482.28 basis points. At the end of trading on the exchange, a total of 657.5 million shares in 6,646 deals valued at 4.59 billion naira exchanged hands. Market capitalization stood at 36.3 trillion naira. Well, Neka Oko is standing by for global update. Neka, tell us what's happening in the market.
Hello and welcome to the global market segment. Asia Pacific markets were broadly weaker this Wednesday, with Korean and the Japanese stocks posting a more than 2% drop after the U.S. 10-year Treasury yield rose. The Nikkei 225 in Japan sank 2.28%. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index dropped 0.78%, while there were no markets in China due to a public holiday. European markets, on their part, traded mixed as global sentiment falters. The DAX in Germany rose 0.29%, UK FTSE gained 0.05%, and the French CAC is up 0.42%. Stock futures in the US were flat early Wednesday following a tough session that dragged the Dow Jones Industrial Average into negative territory for 2023. Futures tied to the Dow Jones Industrial Average ticked up 34 points, S&P 500 gained 0.1%, and the Nasdaq Composite is marginally positive. In Africa, South Africa's JSE Africa Top 40 led gains in the region, rising 0.53% in early trade, followed by Ghana's GSE Composite. Tunisia's Houston Index was also in positive territory, while Namibia's overall index bucked the trend and fell 0.09%. And that's global market review. It's back to you, Musa.
Well, thank you, Neka. That was a quick one. Now, this is where we end this edition of Business Express. We value your feedback, so keep the comments, observations, and suggestions coming. Be informed that all previous episodes are available on YouTube on the NTA's channel. Business Express returns Thursday at 9:30 a.m. I'm Musa Bakar. Enjoy the rest of your day.